Hey guys, Nathan, Duck River Honey. I am going around my hives today and checking for mites. It's late December and I did my first round of oxalic acid vaporization last week in my winter mite treatment schedule. I'll do 3 rounds of oxalic acid, preferably around the winter solstice. So generally from December 20th through the first of the year, somewhere around there. I try to get 3 treatments in, depending on weather, of course. The best temperatures to do it are probably 42 to 47 degrees, somewhere in there, but we live in the real world, so you don't always get that. So I've got most of my hives set up on screen bottom boards, and it is specifically so I can check for mites after I do OAV. So you can see this hive has a lot of mites, more than I want. So I'll stick a red push pin here on the left side of their middle hive body, and that tells me that they had a mite problem, pest problem, something along those lines. What I'm trying to do in my grading system here is I'm looking at mites or pests, attitude. This hive has had a red mark for attitude. I'm looking at behavior, which is cross comb, just a lot of little things like how I like my hives to manage themselves. And then honey production is the last thing I'm looking at. That's a lot of mites. All the bee parts here could tell me I've got a mouse or a shrew problem in this hive. Might need to check it out. They don't have a ton of mites, so. But that's not good enough to get a green check. That is surprisingly few. Surprisingly few. This hive was pretty big. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Well, that's not few enough to get a green mark, but I'm pretty happy with it. So I've got a few reds in this yard and no greens. That'll actually get worse in this yard over time because this yard is furthest away from my home bee yard. I'm setting up a couple of new basically drone flooding yards within a mile or a mile and a half of my home yard. And my thought is I can take all my reds and move them into this out yard, and then the drones from this yard won't be mating with nukes or virgin queens from my home yard. So I think by doing this sort of quick and dirty grading system, over time I can select against bees that have a lot of mites and select for bees that don't have a lot of mites. Now, there could be a lot of different reasons that some of these hives have higher mite loads. They could just be bigger. You know, they could be more of an Italian type bee and just have carried more brood into the fall. Some hives I've seen have had very little brood. Maybe they were nukes and they just, you know, they had brood breaks or something. Maybe they went broodless during the dearth in July. You know, we had a drought, hard drought, and maybe they went broodless then. And while I was doing my oxalic acid at that time of year, I cleaned them up a lot more, so I reduced the mite populations. Maybe some of these hives went out and robbed out natural hives and got mite bombs and brought back thousands of mites. I don't know. You know, I can't know the answers to all those questions. What I do know is some hives have a lot of mites and some hives have very few mites. And this is a grading thing that I'm going to work with over time. I'm going to select against hives with a lot of mites and select for hives with few mites, while also looking at attitude and, you know, whether they cross comb everything, build excessive propolis, make good honey crop, want to swarm too hard, you know, looking at all that stuff. But definitely performance with mites is a big thing that I'm wanting to select for. So guys, if you're using OAV, you're set up on screen bottom boards, this is super easy to do, like really easy, not hard at all. Makes sense to me. It may make sense to some other people too. So hope it helps. Appreciate you watching. I'll see you on the next one.